Okay, welcome. So, after the holidays, we do indulge, don't we, during the holidays? We and everybody else, we really indulge. And sometimes after all the indulging and spending, people are faced in January with, oh my God, look at my bills, or look at my charge cards, or how did...
Scale.
Look at that scale. Yes, we're not talking about that today. No, I'd be happy to talk about that too. Bob and I are on a wonderful program. We're biking twice a day. We're eating healthily. Yes, we're just getting so fit you won't recognize us.
Careful.
Yeah, don't overdo it, I know. But that's important too. But today we're talking about money. Money, how can you talk about money in a place where you get inspirational, spiritual input? Because, most of us were raised with the faulty idea that money is the root of all evil. And, of course, we can't live without it. So how could it possibly be the root of all evil? And actually, the Bible doesn't say that. Most of you know this already. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And so while to be prosperous, we want to appreciate money, you all know people who love it too much, right? As a matter of fact, when we were looking for music, the music that's most popular that you can put the topic in on YouTube about money and the songs you get, I told Bob, I said, they're just about too much love of money. For example, if you watch the cabaret movie song, Money Makes the World Go Round, it's all about the juxtaposition of wealth and opulence, and just dripping in money versus being penniless and shoeless and things like that. And that's, but you almost see it in the eyes, this salivating at the thought of wealth and that kind of thing. And that's the love of money. The other one was money, money, money. I can't remember who does that, but it was the same thing. It was about the love of money and glorifying that, and that's not what we want to do here. Prosperity can be defined as having all that you need. So money is just part of that, right? You can't really enjoy a lot of money if you don't have your health. So prosperity includes good health, having what you need to satisfy your needs and your wants and to share. And it includes loving relationships. It includes satisfaction with life. So prosperity is really about all of those. But today we are focusing on money. Because I know I've gotten several calls already about, when people spend in one area, it can dry up on your end. You know what I mean? If they owe you. And so some people have called me this week, so I know that this is a problem. And I know historically, it didn't happen this year, but historically for me, I decided to be more generous than I thought I would be in September. And by January, I'm looking at my charge cards and saying, ooh, this is more than I thought I was going to owe. This year that didn't happen, which is nice. But so we want to look at this flow and how do we create more so that we're not in that position of not enoughness. Because we live in an abundant universe. If you forget about money, because we didn't even do money as an exchange. If I go back to my grandparents who lived on a farm and was a successful farmer, they used money very little. They grew their own food. They grew, with the garden and with the animals that they raised. They bartered with neighbors for what they needed. And my mother even grew up where they didn't have money. They didn't use money. They milked the cows and they grew the vegetables, and they needed very little coin or exchange of paper money. And the world was that way for most of humanity's life. So using it as a barter system is relatively new. So if we forget about that and we look at our universe, my God, especially this place where we live, we have an abundance of sunshine and warm weather and everything that exists on the earth exists in abundance. Everything that exists in the universe. I mean, do you think we have a shortage of stars? And I remember back in the 70s when I was new in this teaching, I used to go sailing with a man from our center who was, old enough to be my father, but he became a good friend. And we were having an energy shortage at that time. We could only get gasoline like every other day and things like that. And I remember him saying, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. To think we could have an energy shortage. In this universe, how could we have an energy shortage? And we would be out sailing and he'd say, do we have a shortage of wind? That wind could be used to create more electricity, more energy. The waves, all the energy in the water could be used. We do not have an energy shortage. We really don't have a shortage of anything. We may have a short supply in certain areas, but I'm talking about universally, the globe. So how do we make sure we have enough in our own lives? And that has to do with consciousness. Consciousness is the sum total of what you believe and think. And we believe that preponderance of your thinking, that's thinking and feeling and believing, is what manifests in your life. And I reviewed the material from one of our former fabulous teachers, Raymond Charles Barker, who was the leader in New York City, and he wrote a book called Treat Yourself to Life. And it's in 4 main areas: treat yourself to health, treat yourself to wealth, treat yourself to love, and treat yourself to creative self-expression. But he meant that as a double entendre. It's not just treat yourself to good things, but treat yourself with treatment. Treatment is the word we use for affirmative prayer. And he said, lack is largely a bad habit. You're in the habit of thinking, I don't have enough. If I only had more. I wish I had more. I wish I had this. Remember when we used to call the Sears and Roebuck catalog the Wish Book? It also was in the outhouse in Arkansas when I would go visit my grandparents. It was the toilet paper. But it was a nice place to look at the Wish Book, too. So if you had to spend any time there, which you hoped you didn't. So, but we can get in the habit of, especially as children, because as children we are out of control. Our parents decide what our allowance is, what we can have, what we can't have. So we can get in the habit very early of wishing we had more, wishing we had that, but we don't have it. So that is a thought system that can prevail. And he says you want to change that habit. Well, how do you change that habit? By observing what you're thinking and by thinking a different thought. But he says, remember, you must do this daily. To change a habit, it takes 30 days of doing it. To change a belief can take longer than that, because how many years have you had the other belief? So, but if you remember to do this daily, to do a prosperity treatment, that will change the pattern of your thinking, the predominant thinking that you're doing. And you can receive more. You have to be a generous receiver. How many of you, when somebody offers to give you something or do something, you say, oh, no, thank you, I'm fine, thank you. I can remember a wealthy uncle. I did that thing. I remember a wealthy uncle of mine, when I got divorced many years ago, said, how are you doing, Judith? I said, oh, I'm fine. He gave my sister lots of money because she was a more generous receiver than I was. So you see how I stopped it? I stopped it. So we can do that out of pride. So we want to look at those. Am I a generous receiver? When someone offers to pay for your lunch or dinner and you're out, Just, oh, no, thank you, I'll get it, I'll pay for the whole table. You know, it's almost a prideful thing, isn't it? So, oh no, I have the money, I'll pay. But if someone offers to give you something or pay for something, think about becoming a generous receiver and say, yes, thank you, I'd be delighted. When I was reviewing this material, I was reminded that I hadn't lately, when he says do this every day, I hadn't been doing my regular, I'm expecting checks in the mail and in my PayPal accounts and things like, I hadn't been doing that, so I did it again. And don't you know, the next day, we received a check for the center for $500 from someone who hasn't given all year and doesn't even attend, but someone that I know. I said, thank you, universe. Thank you, universe. Be sure and say thank you. Be a generous receiver. And of course that was mailed prior to my saying that affirmation, but I don't care. I just love seeing, we call those demonstrations, when you see the result of your affirmative prayer or your statement into the law, or just call it an affirmation. An affirmation is a positive statement about what you would like to see happen, as if it's happening now or already happened. So one of the first things you want to do is look at your expectations and look at the sources that you're expecting income to come from. Because we also limit ourselves by thinking, well, I get my money from this source or that source, and those are the only places it can come from. And that's, the universe says, okay, right you are. Whatever you say, my love. Because the universe is for us, not against us. But it can only do for us what it can do through us. So it really is up to us. And there are unexpected sources. When you say yes to that, you don't have to decide where it comes from. You decide the what you want, not the how or where or whom. Do you see what I mean? That's none of your business. That's really none of your business. It's okay to affirm that your business gets more prosperous or the sources that you know about increase, but don't limit it to that. Because what about all those unexpected sources? That's the real fun. And they can really open up when you open yourself up to the universe. And remember, one of my favorite phrases that I've used a lot is something that Jesus said, which is, it is the Father's good pleasure to give to you the kingdom. And of course with the kingdom he's talking about a spiritual understanding in life, and all things added unto it, everything that brings you joy. Everything. So I wasn't raised, I know I was familiar with that phrase, but I wasn't raised with that understanding. I was raised with the understanding that really, we were all sinners and punishment was more the focus. Punishment and penance and, that kind of thing was more the focus than God wants to see you happy and have everything that will provide a rich, abundant, happy life. But what a concept, and why wouldn't it be that way? Those of you who've had children, do you want them to suffer? Do you want them to be in lack? Do you want them to learn their lessons the hard way? No. So why would it be different with our Creator? I really believe, and I don't think it's a person. I don't think it's a man and the sky. I think it's a creative force, a creative energy. But it can only do for us what it can do through us. It's always creating. It's always creating. But we individually and collectively create our own experience. It can only do for us what it can do through us. So we need to always be evaluating our own limited thinking, our own ideas that the amount of pleasure for us is limited, the amount of love for us is limited, the amount of, just your history is not what has to be in the future. One of our most empowering phrases is a principle, which is what we call this creative force operating as law. Principle is never bound by precedent. In other words, what's happened to you in the past does not have to predict what will happen to you in the future. You can change your mind and have a different experience in the future. And I've seen it enough times, and you've seen it enough times to know that that's true. So, what is your responsibility here? You first of all want to look at what it is you're experiencing. What is my current condition? That's your mirror. Sorry if you don't like it. I don't always like what I see. But the mirror is showing you this is what's in your consciousness. If you want it to be different, you have to do that daily practice of affirming more, accepting more, believing more. And of course, you do move your feet in that direction when opportunities show up. You say yes, that's another way of being a generous receiver, and move in that direction. Or even receiving in meditation, or in your quiet contemplation, ideas. That's a way of increasing your prosperity. Oh, this would work. That's an idea. That's the first benefit I had from learning to meditate. I had a business. It was a cosmetic business. I found out years later that Alex and I both were in the same cosmetic business in the 70s. Mine was 70s, yours was probably 70s too. And I'd get ideas for the business in meditation. I'd go, oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. Write those down after I was finished. So that's another way of moving your feet. It starts with the mind. Oh, I could do this. I could do that. This could happen. And moving in that direction. You need to act on it. You can't, everything isn't always laid at your feet like the check in the mailbox. Sometimes it is. I like those. Mm-hmm. I like those when they just plop in your lap. And that's happened to me enough times for me to really believe this. But I've also had a number that I had to do a good deal of walking in that direction. It's not without effort, but what are you here for? You're here to be, do, and experience different things that bring you joy. Now, Raymond Charles Barker was a big believer in do what you love and the money will follow. And I've seen enough people do what they love and the money didn't follow to know that that simple expression doesn't do it. But what I do know is when you do what you don't love, even if it brings you money, it's not going to bring you happiness, and it often brings you poor health. Because you're doing what you don't like. You need to be doing what you love doing, what feeds you. And if you work on the prosperity of being a generous receiver, you should find some way for that to work. Now, I mentioned last week about that we had in our midst the author of Shortcut to a Miracle, republishing of a book. And they're with us today. Elizabeth Arrett is the co-author with her first husband, and her present husband, Bill Arrett, is a very integral part of the promoting it and doing it, and he's so brilliant. I imagine he and his physicist brother had some input into this book. And I know Elizabeth, so I know she's moved her feet a lot, both with the original book and with the re-editing and republishing of it. And I know she has lots of stories about people who've used these principles who've really enriched their lives. And we're going to be offering a course with this, but I'm not sure exactly when or where. We want it to be somewhere here in East Pointe, and it probably will be in February, but possibly even March. It'll be an 8-week class, and we're going to have Elizabeth share some of the true life stories of people who've used these principles of this shortcut to a miracle. She's got some cards on our information table about the book, and we'll have her do a book signing, and you can get the book and enjoy it. It's got these ideas in it that you can really take and use. So, do you deserve to be prosperous this year? Do you deserve to have ease and flow? And don't look at your talents, don't look at your abilities, don't even look at anything that you've done in your life. I want you to think about how you feel about your children, or you imagine that a parent or your parents felt about you, what they want you to have. And I know it's always the best. I want them to have the best. I want them to be happy. That's the way the universe feels about you. And if you're not there, it's because you haven't been a generous receiver. So I invite you to do that now. Think about that for this year. So it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.